There we go. Hey, welcome to today's Q&A. My name is Jessie here with Decker Truckline. We are talking about flatbed mostly today. Lots of flatbed opportunities, so we're going to dive into that and discuss the depths of it. what the pay is, the home time, the different running lanes. We'll talk about, of course, the sign-on bonus. We do have a big sign-on bonus for some of our divisions in flatbed. And then we'll also talk about our benefits and equipment and all that good stuff. All those things that you usually ask, you want to know ahead of time, that's what we're going to talk about. So, as always, if you have a question, please put it in the chat, and then as soon as I read it, I'll be able to answer whatever it is that you got question-wise. Yeah, right? Okay, let's talk about flatbed. So flatbed is running really strong for us. We've seen a lot of growth in it, especially over the last few years, and it is continuing to grow so much that the miles are consistent enough. We can bump up our sign-on bonus. We're able to, of course, get you more miles, more consistent miles as well, which I think is even more important, the consistency. And then we have our minimum pay. So I don't want you to focus on the minimum pay, because that's a safety net and it's minimum. We want maximum. There isn't a maximum, by the way, but whatever you can run within the week legally with your hours of service and you're making yourself available, all those things that will allow you to obviously run more miles, working with your driver leader and making sure that everything is on top there. But most importantly, that you're showing yourself available so that we can get you another load, or making sure that your hours are available. So, anyways, flatbed. We have a couple of different positions. The over the road, I think you guys are most familiar with. When it comes to over the road flatbed for us, we don't run a whole lot out west. Most of what we run is going to be in the Midwest, like Denver or Colorado, and east. And then sometimes when I say east, people they automatically assume, oh, you're in the Northeast. You run a lot of Northeast. We don't. We have some runs into there, but most of it's really heavy in the Midwest, and then really anywhere from Texas to the Carolinas. And that's including, I'm going to include everything from Tennessee and Kentucky, Pennsylvania. We've got a lot of loads in all of those areas as well, but really heavy freight. Let me rephrase that. Really, like a lot of freight, because it's not heavy haul. Most of what we haul is going to be tarped loads with, we do have drop and hook, but you've got steel beams, and we do some coils, especially in the Midwest. We've got steel beams, wallboard. We have a variety of loads, obviously, but not often heavy loads. Not like heavy haul loads. We do have some that are off the norm, like interiors of truck washes. I usually use that as an example because that's one of a abnormal freight, but we still see them. But so that'll kind of give you an idea. Lots of building supplies. There you go. We do a lot of building supplies, lumber, and if that sounds like what you're looking for, keep in mind we've got your tarping loads. A lot of it is drop and hook, but you're still in charge of or responsible for the tarping and the securement of each load. So hey Riley, keep that in mind. Again, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat so that I can get them answered. And of course, the number here, 877-233-2537 or 877-433-2537, will get you to our recruiting department for more answers. Fair? All right. Now, as far as the rate of pay, that's going to be based on your experience level. So if you have, let's give a couple of different scenarios, because I usually just stick with the high end, which is usually if you've got 20 plus years experience or even 15 years of experience, you're looking at 70 cents a mile. 10 cents of that's per diem. But then we also have the runs that are, the experience level that if you're new to driving. If you have just 6 months of experience, then you're looking at 56 cents a mile to start with. Obviously, there's different levels in between there. 3 years of experience would put you at 62 cents a mile. Again, 10 cents per mile is per diem no matter which level you're at for experience. So 10 cents per mile is not taxed. You do get a penny raise after 90 days. You get a penny raise annually. Now the cap currently is at 70 cents a mile. So if you have those 20, that 15 plus years of experience, you're going to be starting at the cap right out of the gate. But that doesn't, hey Sean, that doesn't have any bearing on your monthly bonuses or any of the any bonuses at all. That's just your rate of pay, like your base rate. That is capped. So again, if you have questions, feel free to ask or go and call the recruiting department so you can get more specific to yourself. 877-433-2537. All right, so more on the flatbed. With running lanes, if you're in the over the road, you can expect to get home about every other weekend. I say weekend, I can't guarantee it's on the weekend, but it's usually coming home on like a Friday night or Saturday and then coming back out either Sunday night or early Monday morning. Now, if you are home every other, so if you're out 11 to 12 days at a time, we figure for every 7 days you're out, it's a day and a half to home time. So you've got your 3 days of home time when you're coming home in the over the road flatbed division. Now our more regional flatbed division, and we have a couple of those. In the more regional flatbed, you do have a minimum pay of $14.50 a week versus the $1,000 a week for the over the road division. I probably should preface that by saying, even though it's $1,000 a week minimum, your growth or your possibilities in that home, that 11 to 12 days out at a time, the every other weekend type thing, the over the road flatbed, your possibilities of making more money are higher in that division than any other division that we have currently, because of the miles and the rate of pay based on your experience and all that good stuff. So that one has got the most growth capabilities or growth opportunities, I should say, for you currently. But we have our Midwest flatbed division that is home weekly. It does have a minimum pay of $14.50, which on average I'd say is probably closer, even though $14.50 is the minimum pay, I think the average right now is right at $15.50. And I'll double check our stats, see if that's been upgraded since our additional awarded miles. Some of these loads that we've been gathering here. So I'll look to see if that is still accurate or if we've bumped up even more on that. But yeah, $14.50 is the minimum pay. Keep in mind, for the minimum pay for the flatbed division, you've got to be available for dispatch at least 5 days out of the week. It's Monday through Friday. I mean, pretty normally that you need to be available, because with flatbed, you're not really getting a load on Saturday usually. Most of the time you're dispatched Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday for those loads. So keep your hours of service, keep a good control on your hours of service, making sure that you are showing available as soon as you can so that you can maximize your opportunity at miles and loads, okay? And anyways, for those minimum requirements, be available for dispatch at least 5 days out of the week, no load refusals, no late loads, no CSA violations or preventable accidents for the week, and of course, get your paperwork in on time. You need to get your paperwork in. Honestly, the best way to do it is just get it in as soon as you're done with the load. Get it into the payroll department. In the refrigerated division, you need to get it in within 12 hours of delivering the load. In the flatbed division, you're currently okay to get it done before Tuesday night. But like I said, ideally get it done earlier. It makes life a lot easier on the payroll department and probably a lot easier on you because you don't have to chase it down come the end of the week. So again, if you have questions on that minimum pay or if you have questions on any of this, feel free to ask. Now, as far as the minimum pay, we're going to push that aside because, again, your focus is more on showing yourself available, being available for loads so that we can grow that opportunity at getting more miles and more loads for you. And because of that, the minimum pay is only a safety net. It's not, desired, I would hope, not your desired income necessarily. You always want to shoot for more. Okay, so that said, in the 1450, if you do have shorter runs than our over the road division, again, we are a lot of drop and hook. We have some tarping contracts out there, so they'll do a lot of the tarping, but you're still responsible for the securement and tarping of that load. So you always want to double check and make sure that it is done properly, and that you and everybody else on the road around you will be safe because of that. So I would say with the flatbed, just, yeah, 1550 right now is what I've been seeing for the average. So I'll just double check with that one. That's for the home weekly. So if you're coming home on a Friday night or a Saturday morning and leaving back out Sunday night or Monday morning, that division doesn't run too far. Like, you're not running down into Texas or the Carolinas usually in that division. You're staying in Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, the Michigan and Wisconsin and Minnesota areas. Kentucky, that's another one. I think I mentioned Illinois. But it's not often that you're going to be going into Texas or Florida or the Carolinas in that division. That's different than our over-the-road flatbed, because the over-the-road flatbed is going to see Texas and the Carolinas and Mississippi and Louisiana and Florida and Georgia, right? You'll see all of those. You just probably won't be out west in Washington or Oregon or Montana. I don't expect. Okay. So for that flatbed division, for the $14.50 minimum pay, that division specifically, you have the $8,000 sign-on bonus. Now, the $8,000 sign-on bonus is, like, not only is it attached to that $14.50 division, but it's more about the hiring area. So where you're located will determine what your sign-on bonus is. Of course, making sure that you qualify for the position, those are a given, because obviously we wouldn't hire if you're not qualified. But make sure that this position is in alignment with what you're looking for. So don't go just for the sign-on bonus. Go for the fact that it's a good fit for you, and then have that perk of that sign-on bonus. But it's an $8,000 sign-on bonus. It pays out at 6 months, 9 months, and 12 months. So the different intervals. With the $8,000 sign-on bonus, it's $2,000 on your 6-month anniversary. It's $2,000 on your 9-month anniversary, and the remaining $4,000 on your 1-year anniversary. So right at 12 months. All right. The over-the-road division, I failed to tell you what the sign-on bonus was for that, but we have a $4,000 sign-on bonus for the over-the-road flatbed division as well. It's $1,000 at your 6-month anniversary, $1,000 at your 9-month anniversary, and the remaining $2,000 on your 1-year anniversary. So that's what the sign-on bonus looks like currently for our flatbed division. I mentioned the home weekly with the Midwest. I mentioned the over the road. One more flatbed opportunity that I want to make sure I mention. We have a home weekly opportunity if you live between Bessemer, Alabama and Atlanta, Georgia, right on 20. So I do want to be clear on this, though. It is a home weekly position, but just because the hiring area is so specific along 20 between Alabama and Georgia, there we go. I don't want you to think that that's the only area that you'll be running, because that wouldn't be the case. You'd be running up into the Midwest at least probably once a week. A lot of our freight is originating there. So that's why you see so much movement up there. Not all of it, but a lot of it is. Decker's been around since 1931, probably a little bit before that actually, but 1931, and we have a very, very strong customer base, especially in the Midwest, even though we've been expanding, continually expanding, and you probably noticed that based off of additional hiring areas that we have. But it's very heavy in the Midwest, so expect to see some of that, which is a good point for those of you who are, when it comes to winter, if you don't have any snow driving or winter driving experience, you'd be getting that within the Midwest. Yeah, maybe not in the Maya or in the mountains. If you're in the over-the-road refrigerated division, yeah, you would definitely be seeing some of that. But yeah, in the over-the-road flatbed and the Midwest flatbed, we do see some of that in the Midwest. So runs in the Midwest. So again, if you have any questions, if you want to speak to a recruiter, please give us a call at 877-433-2537. And now let's talk a little bit about our refrigerated division too, because we have some opportunities in that one. Refrigerated is a little bit different. Your rate of pay, of course, per mile is a little bit less than flatbed. I think that's pretty normal to see more mileage pay in the refrigerated or in the flatbed division than you would in the refrigerated division. However, you're still seeing good miles. You've got a lot of the same benefits, of course. We'll talk about benefits here in just a second, but as far as like bonuses and things like that. As far as pay for the refrigerated division, you're looking at someone who's brand new to the industry, doesn't have any experience. You're looking at 52 cents a mile to start. Now, if you've got 6 months of experience, you're starting at 55. We figure if you're brand new to the industry and you're needing training, same goes for flatbed. You start and then you'll get a penny raise every 90 days until you get your 1 year anniversary. I had to think about that. Oh my goodness. And then when you get your 1 year anniversary, then you'll get a penny raise annually. So a little bit different than when you first hire on, because it's 90 days is your first hire or your first raise, and then annually after that for someone who has experience. But someone who's brand new to the industry, you'll get intervals of pay increases as you gain experience. So, if you've got 3-5 years of experience, you're looking at 59 cents a mile. If you've got 6-7 years experience, you're looking at 61 cents a mile in the refrigerated division. Again, 10 cents of that's per diem, so you're not taxed on 10 cents a mile. Same type of thing as the refrigerated. As the flatbed, you'll get a penny raise after 90 days and then annually. Now with the refrigerated division, we have a little bit different minimum pay requirement. The minimum pay in our refrigerated divisions is $1,000 for our over-the-road and our more regional. We have an 11-day out option with 3 days home, and we have an over-the-road option, which is 2 to 3 weeks out at a time, and then home for 4 to 5 days. Whichever option works best for you as far as home time, you just let us know. For in most cases, we have either option. Now out west in Washington and Oregon and Montana and Utah, Arizona, we currently only have the 2 to 3 weeks out and home for 4 to 5 days. Good miles, you'd be definitely running into the Midwest on a regular basis, longer length of haul, but that's the rotation, the home time rotation for that division. In the Midwest and even towards the east, like Georgia and Florida and the Carolinas and Texas, we do have the 11 days out and 3 days home. Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, all of those. And then in all cases for the refrigerated division, for the over-the-road and the 11 days out, we do have a sign-on bonus and a minimum pay. So the sign-on bonus is a $4,000 sign-on bonus, and that pays out, like I mentioned, it's very similar to flatbed, where it's at 6 months you get $1,000. At 9 months you'll get another $1,000, and you'll get the remaining $2,000 on your 1 year anniversary. Now, as far as the minimum pay requirement, those are a little bit different. You need to be available all of the days that you're out on the road. So if you're out 11 days at a time and 3 home, you need to be available for 11, and then in order to qualify for that minimum pay. Same type of requirements as far as your, being available for dispatch, obviously, having a good handle on your hours of service, but making sure that there's no late loads, no load refusals, no CSA or preventable accidents, and of course getting your paperwork in within 12 hours of delivering. You should have plenty of time to get that paperwork in, but it is so much easier on our payroll department because we get paid weekly. So everything that's in by Tuesday night is paid by Friday. But again, keep in mind, if you have 12 hours from the point of delivery to get your paperwork in. We have the TransFlow app. Well, you can use the TransFlow app on your phone, but we have a tablet in the truck, the Geo tablets, that you can scan your documents, the bills and everything, and then get that into our payroll department. So again, if you have questions, feel free to ask 877-433-2537. Now, the only difference that we have is that our home weekly refrigerated position, which is, again, a very small hiring area, but in the Toledo, like areas of Ohio and Illinois, we do have a home weekly opportunity in the refrigerated. It doesn't currently have a minimum pay or a sign-on bonus attached to it, but it's home weekly and it's guaranteed home on the weekends, which is not an easy task to be able to guarantee. But yes, we can guarantee you home on the weekends. They are shorter lengths of haul, obviously, and in order to guarantee you that. But if that's something that you're interested in, and again, please give us a call at 877-433-2537, and we'll get you some more details on that. Fair? Cool. All right. Qualifications, whether it's refrigerated or flatbed, no major moving violations within the last 3 years, no DOT recordable accidents within the last 3 years. If you're wondering what's considered a major moving violation, a ticket, a speeding ticket that's 15 over, or a careless or reckless, or following too close, or using a mobile device or a handheld device. What else am I missing? Did I say following too close? Those are all considered major moving violations. Yes, we can work with some tickets. Like if you have a 5 over speeding ticket, or if you have a wrong lane violation, which is, by the way, different than a erratic lane change or lane change violation. But if you're in a wrong lane, that's a minimum, or not a major moving violation. I hate to say minimum violation because that's just, you don't want to downplay a ticket, right? Anyways, okay, so those would all be considered major moving violations, and we wouldn't be able to work with it within the 3-year period. If you have a ticket, as long as you don't have more than 2 tickets within the last 3 years, we should be able to move forward. Also, no more than 1 within the last 12 months. So, and again, those are not major moving violations because those have to be at the very minimum 3 years old. Now, same with DOT recordable accidents. We cannot work with a DOT recordable preventable accident within the last 3 years. If it was non-preventable, if you hit a deer or if somebody hit you, then those are considered non-preventable. And then, yes, we can work with those within the 3-year period. If there's a fatality or an injury, or even depending on if the insurance company deems it DOT recordable, those are all factors, for the DOT recordable, qualifying it as a DOT recordable accident. If you have questions on that, you just let me know. All right. What else can I tell you about qualifying factors? We'd like to have at least 6 months of experience, but there are some exceptions as far as, if you're brand new to the industry, you are a recent graduate, we do have a repayment program. Well, it's actually 2 different things, but we have a tuition program is what I should say. The tuition program is up to $6,000. So if you had a schooling at $5,800, then yes, we would cover that. Basically, how that works is up to $6,000 total, whatever the cost of the schooling was, Decker will reimburse up to $6,000. We pay you $200 a month. After you've been here for 90 days, we pay you $200 a month until that is recouped back to you. So you take care of the finances when you went to school, but Decker reimburses you for that. Now, I mentioned the repayment agreement. So these are 2 different things. So that was for tuition. Now we have a repayment agreement that we recognize when we do our onboarding, when we do our orientation. And what that is whatever the cost was for us as Decker to get you aboard, your rental car or your flight, because you get to choose which one is more convenient for you. Your drug tests, a hotel while you're here. Those are all calculated and those are put on the repayment agreement. And if you were to leave us within the first 6 months, then you could be responsible for a portion of those. That said, every month we knock $100 off, and at 6 months, doesn't even matter how much was left, it's null and void. You know, we toss her out. So, but do be aware of that. So if you left within the first 6 months, you could be responsible for a portion of that. We do like your input on your mode of transportation to orientation. So whether you want us to get you a rental car, and yeah, we'll pay for the gas as well. That would go on your repayment if need, you know, like again, if it applies. And then we also give you the option of flying, depending on where you're at. I mean, it wouldn't make sense to fly from Kansas City to Fort Dodge, but because most of the time you'll be landing in Des Moines and then driving from Des Moines anyway, because we don't always have commercial flight opportunities into Fort Dodge. But yeah, if you've never been to Fort Dodge, then you'll see it's not a huge metropolis, but it's a nice little town. We've got a hotel nearby for orientation. We actually have a small motel that we use. It's on our property. It's what we call it our hotel, our Decker Motel. But it's available to all of our current drivers when you're coming in and you've got maintenance getting done on the truck, and the truck's going to be in the shop for a couple of days or maybe even overnight. It gives you a place to rest. You don't have to worry about, you know, just sleeping in a chair or anything like that. It actually is a nice, comfortable spot for you. So again, if you have questions, feel free to ask, but we do provide those private rooms for you to relax. We have laundry facilities at the terminals, laundry facilities, showers, towels available. We have a dog wash in Fort Dodge. Fort Dodge, Iowa is our main terminal, and then of course we've got some of our outlying terminals as well. We've got our, let's see, for additional amenities for our truck drivers, we have our professional driver lounge. We've got, of course, coffee and some goodies there. We have extra space, extra private rooms, like I mentioned. Yeah. So if you have questions on it, let me know. 877-433-2537. And then we also have for our drivers, of course, we've got all of our amenities in the truck, which is an APU, an inverter, a refrigerator, a microwave. We have 22-inch televisions. Those are smart TVs that have HBO, Cinemax, Showtime. I mean, it's 100 plus channels. It's a lot. Plus, it also has streaming capabilities, so you have free Wi-Fi available in the trucks as well. That's all provided by Decker. So if you have a subscription to like Hulu or Paramount or whatever, you can hook that up to your TV or sign in on your smart TV as well, since it is a smart TV. There you go. Our refrigerators, they're bigger as well. Most of our trucks are the 579 Peterbilts. We have some 860 Volvos, 780 Volvos. We have some 740 Volvos for the flatbed. We have a few Freightliner Cascadia Evolutions, but they are all newer model, very well maintained, beautiful trucks with all, like I said, all kinds of amenities. They are equipped with the Lytx system, which does include both inward and outward facing event recorders. The inward ones shut off immediately when your truck is turned off, and the outward ones will stay on for 4 hours. So if you're in a parking area, like like a truck stop or something, and people are still moving around, you got a little bit of safety for you. Now, it is not a live feed as far as the inward camera either. So yes, we have the inward camera. That's for critical events. So if a critical event triggers the